All right, in this video, I'm going to show you how to open a text file, to read it, to write to it, and then also to add to a text file. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your File Explorer and open up the same way you would navigate and try and find like your videos, pictures, and you want to navigate to your C drive. Just for this example, I'm going to use a C drive. And you see a bunch of folders in here. Folders are just ways to organize your files, and you can create folders to do that. So let's say I create a folder. Let's say I just create a new folder and I name it Mr. Danza. Right, and it's just the name of my folder. And let's say inside the folder, if I double click it and look inside, let's say I right click here, and I go to new, and I'm just going to make a text file, right? Text document. Click on it, and let's say I want to store my password in here because I'm always forgetting my password and I can't remember it. So I'm just going to store my password in here. So I'm just going to call this file password. Right? All right, so if I wanted to go back, right, I click on the C drive, I'd see that there's a folder called Mr. Danza, and inside there's a file called password. Now I just created this file, so if I were to click on it, it would be a blank file. Let's say my password is password123, right? And I just want to store that in there. So what I can do is I'll save it, and I now have a file that stores my password. So now I have this file, right? And I keep on trying to log in and use my password, but I have to go to this file each time, and like it takes a couple extra seconds or a minute extra to go and find my password. You know, I wish there was an easier way. Well, Python can automatically open up text files for you and then read them. And you can actually write to them as well. But first, we're going to talk about how to read that file. So the first thing you want to do is you want to use the open function. And what the open function does is it goes, you tell it where to go, and it opens that file. So if I want to tell it where to go, well, I want it to go to the password file that I just created. So I click on my C drive, I find my Mr. Danza folder, and I've got this right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here, right where the path is, click up here. And you notice how it automatically highlights it? It's in the C drive under the Mr. Danza folder. I'm going to copy this. And then inside quotation marks, I'm going to go ahead and paste it. Now, just for the sake of maybe coming across an error in the future, I'm going to make this slash right here, this forward slash, I'm going to make 2 forward slashes. And then I'm going to have to locate, I'm not just looking in the Mr. Danza folder, I have to locate the file. So the file name will be password.txt because that was the file that I created. All right, so that's the first thing I want to look for. And then what I want to do is, since I'm just reading it, I'm going to, inside quotation marks, I'm going to type in R for read. So I'm going to open this file, and from now on, I'm going to refer to this file. I'll just name it F for file. So that means down here, when I start writing additional code, anytime I use F refers to this file that I opened up. Now, this shows that I opened it up just for read access, if I just want to read it. The R stands for read. All right, so I've done that. So now let's say that I want to print out whatever is inside of this document, which is really my password. So I'm going to use print, and then I'm going to say F, because that's what I named it here, F dot, and I'm going to type in read, the read method. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to print out whatever my password is in here. So it's going to be F equals open. It opens the file up. It says I'm going to read it. I'm going to print out whatever the contents are inside of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure we close that file, right? So at the very end, I'll say like F dot close, just to make sure we've closed the file. It's not still open. So if I run this, notice that what I've done here is I've been able to print out my password. What my code did was it located the path that I'm only going to read it, and it goes in and reads it, and then it closes the file. So it went ahead and found that file and printed anything that's in it. Now, let's say I change my password, right? And let's say I come in here, well, let's say I want my password now to just be password 123, and I'll say 456, right? And I'll go ahead and save it. And let's just say I run the same code again, and I just want to know my password quickly, right? And it says password 123, 456. But I can even do one step or one better. Rather than actually go to that file and edit it like I just did, rather than go here and edit it, what I can do is I can use something else. I'm going to open up that file again, and what I'll do is I'll copy this actually. All right, and instead of read, I'm going to use write, the W. So what I'll end up doing is I'll say f dot write. I'll use the write method, and I'm going to overwrite whatever the contents are inside that file. So the read reads it, the W overwrites it. So if I have a password in there, the W will overwrite anything that's already in there. So I'll say f.write, and maybe I just say I want my password to just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So once I've done that, I'm going to close the file. So what will happen here is it will print out the original password and close it. Then it will go in and it will reopen the file, knowing that I want to overwrite it, write to it, and then close it. Let's go ahead and run this. And oh, I never actually printed this out. Whoops. So let me go ahead and change this, because now the file has been changed. Let me go ahead here and I'll change the password here to just like password. And I'll click File, Save. I forgot to print this out here. So once I've written it, right, I'm going to print. Well, I'll go ahead and do that in a separate step, right? So now I'll reopen it. I'll take this entire 3 lines of code and I'll just paste it again down here. So I've read it, I've closed the file, then I've reopened it to write it, then I've closed it, and then I open it to read it again, and I read the new contents. So this should print out password, because that's the current password. Then I said, you know what, I want to change my password to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It does that, and then reopens the file, reads it, and prints out the new password. So the two things that it should print out is it should print out password, and it should print out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so if I run it, it says password, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if I were to reopen the file, you see that the contents of it have changed. So I'll go ahead and add one last one here. Let's say I don't want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 anymore. Let's say I want it to just be a PW023, right? And then I'll open it up. But let's do one more. Let's go ahead and I'll actually copy this. And rather than overwriting the contents of the file, rather than overwriting, the W overwrites it, you can use an A to append or add to the file. So let's say I want to add more to my password, like PW023. Let's say I also wanted 99 at the end of it as well. So 99. What I could do is I could say f.write, and I'll just add 99 to it. And then I'll close the file again. and then I'll reread it and print it back out. Just copy and paste the code. All right, so let me walk through and show you what this is going to do. So it's going to locate the file, it's going to read it, and print out the contents of it. So if I were to go to the file right now, the contents are 1 through 5, 6. So we'll print that out. Then what it will do is it will open it and overwrite this. It will overwrite it to say PW023 and close. Then we're going to read it and print it out. Okay, we'll close it, read it, and print it. Then once we've printed out the new, so it should say PW023 when it actually prints out, then we'll go back in and we'll append it. We'll add 99 to it. So it should say PW02399. And that should be my new password. And then we'll print that out. So there's 3 things that should be printed out. It should read out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, PW023, and then PW02399. Let's go ahead and run this. Maybe I'll close this file. Yep. And I'll run it. And notice it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, PW023, and the append just added something to it. Right, so maybe I even just wanted to I'll use a block string here. Maybe, and this just comments out the code, maybe I can go through and say, all right, I want to open up the file and read what's in it. And then I just say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and overwrite it. There we go. And I will overwrite it. And let's say I just want to add a sentence to it. So I'll say print. No, I'll say f.write. And I'll say something like, this is a sentence. All right. And maybe I'll add a period at the end. And then I'll make sure to close the file. And then maybe I will open it once more. And instead of overwriting the file, I want to add to it. And I just want to append it. And what I'll do is I'll say f.write. I'll say this is another sentence. And in quotation marks. And I'll say f.close. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and run this. All right, so it gave me my original password, which was fine. I then overwrote it and said this is a sentence and this is another sentence. So if I go to the file, if I go and locate that file and click on it, it should say this is a sentence and this is another sentence. Pretty cool that I'm able to read and write and overwrite files. So this can come in handy if you're opening up someone's file or your own file and you want to see what's inside it and you want to see the contents of it. You can do that through Python.